Hey everyone, Aaron here, and today we are at Hungary for the Hungaroring. This track features 14 turns and is about 2.7 miles long, 4.3 kilometers. And right now we are jumping onto my quad lap here. This would be the third run. The second one, as you just saw, was interrupted with Maku. He was in front of us for about half a lap, and we were actually 4/10 up, and he didn't realize we were on a hot lap, so we just had to abort because that delta just kept dropping and dropping and dropping until I almost had no time difference. So so decided to just salvage what we could and just go for one last lap, and luckily I had extra fuel to do this. So if I didn't do this, would have been really bad for the race. And it was really frustrating too, because the tires, I would have a little more tire wear, and I did not plan to do 2 runs. I thought I was going to do a 17.5, 17.6 with that one run, and that would have been good enough for me. Honestly, when it came to practicing, I've never done faster than a 17.5 in quali, and I probably could have done better if I put in more practice over the holidays. And you would think with 2-3 weeks over the holidays I would have practiced a little bit more. No, I really did not. Had some more time off work, which was really nice. Got to spend it with more family and friends, eat a bit and gain some weight, which was really nice. And I hope you guys had a good holiday as well. And crossing the line, we have done a 17.5, and that made me really happy. That was my absolute maximum, I guess, for the amount of practice I did. And I had to do a huge shout out to THM doing a 16.9. That's just super impressive. I would say that's like F1, F2 tier level, as most of us probably are, but just to get it right when it comes to qualifying, it's very impressive. So then 5 red lights and off we go. Get an okay start. It looks like Smeej and Koldo both have awesome starts, and Hayden as well, as he's right on our gearbox, and he's gonna be right alongside us here. We just got a little love tap from Detainable, pushed us a little wide, and I think that caused Hayden to our left to go wide and pushing Lunation off as well. And we've just got a huge tap from Detainable as well, and that's probably our fault because we broke 10 meters early just to be cautious, and I'm just so sorry about that. That gave him a yellow wing, and I did not mean to break 10 meters early. That's just outrageous, and I'll try to fix that for my future race starts. But word of warning for future races, just stay away from me. Don't follow me that close. I will break a little early, and I don't want to ruin anyone's races. So yeah, sorry once again, and just settling behind Elgo in 5th position with Hayden behind us in 6th. Now, if you're wondering why I don't have any audio for this, it's because I fucked up and I chose the wrong input-output settings. And luckily, I did choose the right program to record video from, and at least we have some footage. So you're just going to have to bear with my voice and the background music, and hopefully that's good enough for you guys. A relatively clean start for everyone in the race. I don't think we have had any major collisions at the start of the race. And cutting ahead to lap 4, I just wanted to show you guys the pace of the top 6 drivers here. Everyone's separated about 0.8 to a second, and yeah, the pace couldn't be any more equal. Just stuck in this train, and this is going to be a 21.2, I think the fastest lap I set on Super Softs. And I think everyone might have set around the same time, but cutting ahead about 8 laps to lap 13, we've actually pulled a gap to Hayden, and that felt really good. It's just finally have some breathing room. Just broke DRS, a 1.7 second gap to Hayden, and we're going to come into the pits now for some softs. And I think Elgo in front of us came in a lap earlier, and at this time I didn't have any idea what tire he was going to go on. I thought he was just going on the softs like everyone else, and I thought I'd come in a lap later, end of lap 13, and undercut Hayden, because I thought Hayden was going to pit lap 15, because he's in the pad, his tire wear is just much worse than me on the wheel. And he made a really good strategy call. He followed us into the pits, and I was really surprised by that. Really good strategy call from Hayden. And after that pit stop, we put a 2.7 gap between me and him, and you know, that just left us room to focus 100% on the race. But we just hit this traffic. Smeej has luckily just come out in front of this 4-car train, and I think it's only for win and chicane holding everyone up, with Elgo trying to attack only for win. And I felt like I really needed to get past these two, and just so I can keep up with Elgo, because following them for 12 laps, I can visibly see he was just racking up penalties left and right. His consistency was it just needed a little more work, so I knew if I stayed behind him, I would have taken the position from him for sure. There was just times where he would let the gap between him and Koldo grow to a 1.5 seconds to a 2.8, but then 2 laps later, he would close that back down to 0.8. So it was just very crucial for me to get past only for win and chicane as soon as possible. And it turns out it's really hard to pass in Hungary. I thought it would be a little easier than this in practice races, but that's a practice race. This is the real race. And shout out to Chicane right there. He made it pretty easy for me to get past, but I wish he made it a little harder, because that also allowed Hayden to just activate DRS and close that 2.7 gap. And now we have pressure once again. And I was just really deflated at this moment. I just wanted to concentrate 100% on attacking the road, closing the gap to Elgo. But we've got Hayden behind us. It just takes a lot of concentration to drive with that arrow constantly there. And if you don't practice or don't have enough experience with that, I think it could really throw off your driving, because that is exactly what happened to me at this moment. It's just having that arrow and constantly having to worry about it. I think it was just a mental block, and it was affecting my pace. It was just, you're just diverting some of your attention behind you, and Hayden has just gone for a move, and that's totally us falling asleep at the wheel. We've left it in lean, and I think Hayden noticed that I was going a little slow behind only for win. And of course, at this very moment, as soon as Hayden passes us, he comes into the pits, and god dang it. All those laps keeping Hayden behind us, he has finally gotten past. So, really good move. I didn't think that was even an overtaking opportunity. That turn comes up pretty fast after you brake, but it turns out only for win was going that slow. And coming on turn 3, Hayden has just lagged behind us, and we've just taken the position back, and I don't know, that was just so lucky, and there's just no way I was going to slow down and let Hayden have this position back. Get better than that, I guess. So, cutting ahead to lap 18 now, and yeah, just keeping Hayden behind us, the 7/10 gap, and then we've come up on AOR Grezu. It looks like he's disconnected. He's got a red X, and as he's just going so slow, like what the hell? Like, why isn't he ghosting? And yeah, that's gonna definitely put us under attack by Hayden, and we're gonna take a defensive line, move on to the inside, and as soon as he moves to the outside, we're gonna move a bit inwards, and we've just locked up, and I thought for a moment I was just slammed straight into Hayden, and thankfully he was wise enough to delay his turn in and be a little more defensive, and we've avoided a collision there. And so side by side right here coming out of turn 3, and we've managed to stay ahead of Hayden. And yeah, I was just sweating bullets at this point, because I was like, I'm not going to lose a position to him twice. And I'm so determined to stay ahead of him. It's just, I want this 4th position, and I'm going to be fighting for it super hard. So coming up on turn 4 and now turn 5, We're doing pretty good here, just keeping him behind us, and now we've just made a mistake, and we've gone wide onto the curb, and that has allowed Hayden to go side by side through the chicane. And we're side by side, we're going to leave him some room, going through turn 6 now, and he has just bumped us off the road, and I swear I've left him enough room, and I felt disrespected just slightly there, because I knew I left him room. And it looked like he just lunged up on the inside just a bit, thinking that I wasn't going to leave him room, but I'm not going to cut him off. And that might have just been me misjudging how much room he had, or maybe some desync or lag, or just just the connection not being 100% perfect. So I felt a little irritated by that. And yeah, so it is what it is. And I was like, okay, we're behind Hayden again, and I just got to find a way to pass him. And coming up to AOR Grezu again, and he just got pushed off track by Hayden. And to be honest, looking back at the footage now, I don't think even Hayden saw Grezu on his screen. I don't think he was on. Yeah, I think it was just a desync just for me. And Hayden literally just drove through him like he wasn't there. But on my screen, it was a little bit of comedy. He just gets pushed off track. And yeah, so yeah, just rewatching the footage, I'm almost positive that that was a desync, and we have just seen P-Guard Potato off to the side, crashed, possibly lost a wheel and retired, and once again, a few laps later, coming up on Grezu and just drives right past him, spins him around, and I almost hit him, and I was actually really scared that I was going to get wing damage. Missed him by an inch. So coming up on Hayden here, and right behind his gearbox now, he's had really poor exits out of the last 2 corners, and that has given us DRS to get this move done. And so approaching turn 1 now, we're going to go get beside him here, and we're going to go for a challenge down here, and he is just cut in front of us. And at this point, I just felt so disrespected, because earlier in the race, he bumped me off the road, got the overtake done, and trying to get this move done on him at lap 32, he cut in front of us, and I can't describe the feeling in the wheel. The car almost completely spun. For some reason, I reacted before I even knew what was happening. I just took my foot off the gas and I prevented a spin. But watching back at this now, that was a pretty deliberate move. There was no reason for him to cut to the right and for him to squeeze me off like that. I was right next to him. I had my wheels next to his wheels, and I felt, yeah, again, just disrespected. There was no reason for him to cut back like that. And the racing line did not belong to him because we're both on it. And if he were to try to use the excuse that, he's on the pad and his movements are not that precise, I call it BS, because he's matching my pace. There's no way you can match my pace with being that twitchy. So I feel like it was a deliberate move to squeeze me off, and I think it worked. So yeah, I was raging at this point. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna go for any crazy moves, but I'm gonna get past him. I'm gonna take that 4th position. He's just made me mad, and yeah, coming up on this penalty here, first penalty of the race, and only incurred it because Julian's putting pressure on us. So really just pushing through every corner and just trying to get maximum speed to keep Julian behind us. And I don't want to sound too cruel when it comes, criticizing Hayden and his actions, and I know it could sound a little harsh the way I said it, but I mean, I guess that's what you call hard racing, and I'm actually not that too mad about it. I think it was just really annoying, and I just had to express how I felt at the time. But it's all good at the end of the day because I didn't spin. It's not a major incident. There's no wing damage. There's no retirement. And so, with that being said, lap 34. I'm starting to feel the pressure because I really want to get this position back from Hayden. Got Julian behind us, and at this time I have almost no gas. I have to manage gas, somehow build enough gas in the tank so I could use Rich in the last sectors 2 and 3 in the last lap to get past Hayden, and I have to defend against Julian, which is he's just super aggressive, and having to manage all those things and the anger at the time, it was hard. And to be honest, I at the start of lap 34, or even towards the end of lap 33, I was toying with the idea of unleashing the Julian onto Hayden. I was thinking, okay, if I unleash him, there is a good 30% chance Julian takes Hayden out, just like he took Lunation out in Canada. And there you go, you see Julian goes for a move on us. I think he's being a little more cautious since I'm his teammate, and just thank God I was like, okay, he's not being as aggressive as usual, and I just wish he'd stop it because he owes me one from Bahrain, and I wish he would just let me fight Hayden all the way until the end. But he goes for another move in turn 1. Still can't make it stick, so I don't think I have to worry too much about Julian passing on this lap since the overtaking spots are over, and we just gotta catch Hayden somehow, some way. But yeah, just the thought of having Julian kind of brought out my evil side, but you know, I decided against it, and you know, I didn't really want that for Hayden. And if Julian somehow took himself out as well, that's going to hurt our constructors. But also there's a side of me saying, you know, Julian, I think, has learned from his mistakes over this half a season, and he's become, you know, maybe a little more considerate. So if he doesn't get the move done, I would just lose position to Julian, and I didn't want that. So coming up on the last 3 turns here, picked up another warning. You know, already got a first penalty warning on lap 33, so just gonna use up all the warnings we can get, and we're gonna go for this little gap that Hayden has given us, and we touch his wheel just a little, and we've spun somehow, and we make it across the line in 4th position. 3 cars all spinning through the line. What a finish. And now we're gonna cut through Julian's point of view, and this is probably more exciting. And at first I thought Julian just bumped both of us off so you can get past the finish, and I'm like, that would be so Julian. And so as you can see, I moved to the right, and Hayden has just clipped the rear tire and sent me into a spin, and has collected Julian himself. So here are the podium winners here, and then on the top step is THM, the winner of Hungary. Well deserved, because he's had a rough last 2 or 3 races and taken up a lot of damage. On the second step we have Smeesh, and the third step we have Elgo. I think Elgo finished P2, but lost it to Smeesh by incurring 19 seconds of penalties, and as I said, it was visibly apparent that he had a lot of penalties just following him. So taking a 4th position. And I just want to wrap this up by saying there is no reason for Hayden to come right at the finish line. I think maybe he was a little salty that, you know, I touched his rear wheel coming through that last turn, and you know, it's not like I pushed him off or even bumped him that hard, but Hayden gave me 2 contacts throughout the race, and I think that was fair, more fair than what he gave me throughout the race. So I don't feel too bad about it, but I don't know. I see no reason for him to have come right at the finishing line to take. It looked like he was trying to take me out from Julian's point of view, but yeah, is P4 regardless because of penalties, even if he finished ahead of us. And Julian in P5, so a really good race for Mercedes. I think we're P3 in the constructors, and we're fighting Force India, and then the Red Bulls are fighting the Toro Rossos. Hopefully, you know, the Mercedes are trying to come back for P2 and take the Red Bulls out in the constructors, but that'll be a hard one. So next race will be Spa, and yeah, not a favorite track of mine, but we'll see how we do. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thanks.